Making headlines tonight, police remove sources of illegal guns from the streets. The power company suggests a rate increase will benefit consumers. A daring rescue plays out on the cliffs in Foul Bay, St. Philip. And coming up in sports, Deacons repeat as men's league volleyball champs.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC NewsNight, starting now.
I'm Shane Jones, leading the news at 7. Police have taken more than 70 illegal guns off the streets. This revelation from Deputy Commissioner of Police Erwin Boyce. It comes against the background of a noticeable decline in reported gun crimes. Trevor Thorpe reports.
On the issue of gun crime, the Deputy Commissioner said the service had been successful in recent times with the removal of a number of guns and ammunition from the streets.
We are absolutely committed to getting that scourge off the streets of Barbados and off the public spaces and in events and those other things. And I am absolutely sure that today we have recovered in excess of 70 guns and over 1,000 rounds of ammunition. And that is leaps and bounds about of the last year figure. And we want to continue to do that.
And about recent reports of carjacking, he said the matter is under investigation and he's calling on the public to share with the police any information about that incident or any other crime.
We are trying to narrow the information to bring a resolution or solve the matter. I can say on the other hand, the voice note investigation is with the Office of the Deputy, and I have had a look at the investigation, and we are yet to make some determinations on the findings.
As it relates to new body camera technology, officers are being trained.
We are finding that there's some excitement by the police officers to wear the body cams. Obviously, there are instances where you have to sell it, you have to sell what we intend to do. It's not to say that you're not speaking the truth before the body cams. It's just to reinforce and to give us a broader perspective as we interrogate events, especially complaints against police officers.
The hands-on training in body camera technology is being held at the District A Police Station. It is being attended by the rank and file of the service and will end tomorrow. Trevor Thorpe, CBC News.
Closing arguments will be presented tomorrow when the Fair Trading Commission's public hearings into a rate increase application by the Barbados Light and Power Company likely enter the final day. This after re-examination and cross-examination of two key witnesses, Managing Director of the Barbados Light and Power Company, Roger Blackman, and the company's Manager of Regulatory Affairs, Dr. Adrian Carter, concluded this afternoon. You may recall the hearings entered day 14 today on 1 week after Chairman Dr. Donnelly Carrington indicated the original 13 days allotted for the hearings would not be enough to conclude the Commission's business. Before moving the adjournment to this afternoon, the Chairman indicated that lead attorney for the power company, King's Counsel Ramon Allen, will present their closing arguments when the hearings resume at 9 tomorrow morning. Meanwhile, in some of the evidence given earlier in today's testimony, Dr. Carter said he believes the company's application for a rate increase to the Fair Trading Commission will ultimately result in net benefits for Barbadian consumers. At the time, he was responding to a question from King's Counsel Allen about the importance of the fuel clause adjustments in the company's estimates. He says their feedback from customers suggests they are less concerned about what he describes as proposed changes to individual rate components.
They are more concerned about what impact does our application have on their overall electricity bills. The Clean Energy Bridge, whose costs are included in this rate application, is delivering fuel cost savings to our customers, and through this rate application, it will facilitate a net impact of reduced electricity bills for most of our customers.
Also, in earlier testimony in response to a query from one of the FTC's commissioners, Dr. Anki Scott Joseph, Managing Director Blackman, sought to justify the company's inclusion of a portion of its charity obligations as part of its application and as a cost partially borne by consumers.
We do believe, which is why we included it here, that a portion of our donations should be included. It doesn't represent all of our contributions, but it does represent a portion of it, which the question is whether we believe that is appropriate, and we do. That's why we submitted it in the application.
Are you confirming that you believe it's appropriate to charge consumers for charities BLPC decides to support?
In some instances, yes. We haven't done it for every contribution, but some contributions, I think in this case, in particular, contributions to the which is a long-standing one, is what we've largely included there.
Fresh assurances from a top government advisor that bonds tied to the Barbados Optional Savings Scheme Plus are safe and there's no danger of losing your investment. Government's senior economic advisor, Dr. Kevin Greenidge, has been providing an update on the Boss Plus initiative. The program allows average Barbadians and those in the business sector to invest in the 2022 BERT plan with a very favorable return of 4.5% over a 5-year period. He says it's a guaranteed means for receiving a return on investment while supporting efforts to grow the local economy.
That's one way in which individual persons, businesses, private sector financials can help be part of the BERT program. When persons buy the Boss bonds, which is absolutely safe, I don't want to go through why it's safe. I mean, just to say, for example, when we did the restructuring in 2018, we had no choice but to restructure debt. Saving bonds were not restructured because you recognize that those are owned by average Barbadians, persons individually. And so these Boss bonds are the same type. And there's no restructuring horizon. Even if there was, this could be part of them. 2, they offer an attractive interest rate of 4.5, which means if you put down $1,000 at the end of the 5-year period, you get $225 back plus your $1,000.
Dr. Greenidge is appealing to Barbadians to take advantage of the Boss Plus bonds offer to help build their financial portfolio.
We are not seeing the movement we want to see on the Boss Plus bonds. I'm not sure, perhaps we're not marketed enough. A person don't know about it enough and don't understand it enough. And that's why I think we need to do a bit more of these conversations where we can walk persons through the bond, what it's doing, the pros and cons. I can't find any cons, but just explain persons, average people, you got 200, I think minimum is 500, you got $500. I'm not saying put all in Boss bond. You could keep some in bank. Put some in credit union, buy a piece of something to invest in, but also as part of your portfolio, you should add these to it. You make a great investment, but you're also being patriotic in purchasing them.
Coming up, Barbados among the majority at the United Nations voting against Russia's illegal annexation of regions of Ukraine and a daring rescue on a cliff in St. Philip. Barbados is among the 143 United Nations member states voting in favor of a resolution which demands Russia reverse course on the attempted illegal annexation of regions of Ukraine. 5 members, Belarus, North Korea, Nicaragua, Russia, and Syria, voted against, and there were 35 abstentions. 12 CARICOM states in total were in support of the resolution. The resolution, now passed in the Assembly, calls on all states, the UN and international organizations not to recognize any of Russia's annexation claims and demands the immediate reversal. It states the regions are temporarily occupied by Russia as a result of aggression violating Ukraine's territorial integration, sovereignty, and political independence. U.S. Representative to the UN, Ambassador Linda Thomas-Greenfield, made it clear Russia is breaking international law.
As in 2014, Russia is testing the resolve of the world to stand up for the core principles of international law. How else do you explain the flagrant disregard of the values of sovereignty, territorial integrity, and peace and security? How else do you explain the horrific attacks on civilians and civilian infrastructure that we've seen this week? How else do you explain the saber rattling from Putin and his veiled threats of deploying nuclear force? These are threats against this institution. They are threats against all of us.
The West Papua Support Committee wants Barbados to support the former Dutch colony's independence effort. Interim President of United Liberation Movement of West Papua and independence leader Benny Wenda is currently on his third visit to the island. He shared the story of the territory and the struggle of its people on CBC TV8's Morning Barbados. West Papua was invaded by Indonesia as it was being prepared for independence by the Dutch through a military operation in December 1961. Mr. Wenda believes it is important that Barbados understands their struggle.
I hope that Barbados young generation and elderly people and brothers, sisters, I really need your support to liberate my people from the Indonesian colonialism, because without your support, my people never free. And that is that black people are becoming minority their own land. Maybe they're just sisters. There's a black people that live in New Guinea Island and western half of New Guinea, just like what happening in North America, and European Empire oppressed. But this is why I'm here, and please pray for my people.
Repairing my house. That's the intention of Barbados' latest double draw jackpot winner, Iseline Waterman. She was at the time receiving the check for $84,500 from the lottery's marketing manager, Julian King. During the presentation at the Rubis Market Hill station today, she said it was not her first time in winner's circle.
I has been 2,800. I have been 500 with the Mega 6. I know this. I did playing was over 30 years. I did playing. We will continue, but not regular.
The lottery's brand and public relations manager, Kelly King Campbell, said the lottery had seen a slump during the pandemic, but since the relaxation of the protocols, there's been growth, and they have introduced a new game to coincide with the holidays.
Thousands of dollars to be won, and we encourage everyone to play our scratch ticket games. You can win various top prizes, so you can visit any of our retail agents, especially here at Market Hill, to play and take your chances.
Another day, another daring rescue for Chief Inspector with the Royal Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Barbados, Wayne Norville. This time it involved a four-legged friend which found itself in a precarious position. Lorna Jones has the story.
It's probably one of the last places you would expect to find a sheep. Well, in Barbados, perched on a high ledge at the seaside. But that was the case on Thursday at Foul Bay Beach in St. Philip. Prompted by a call from a concerned passerby, the Barbados Fire Service reached out to the RSPCA's Chief Inspector Wayne Norville for his expertise and assistance in the matter. He says it was a difficult rescue and outlined his first steps.
As soon as you get closer to the sheep, what you do is talk to the sheep. Low frequency, cool, calm words. And as you get closer, as you all probably saw, I remove one of my gloves because the animal can't feel the warmth of your body. And they could actually tell if you're in a position to save them or they'll have to save you.
Mr. Norville says after calming the animal, he was able to get her off the ledge to safety.
I was able then to take the rope from around the neck and put it around the chest and behind the shoulders. That is, in that way, it can't slip off, the rope can't slip backwards, off. And as you see, I was able to lower down in the sand. The sand is more like a cushion. If that was something real hard, I wouldn't risk that. But the sand is a cushion, it's quite deep because my shoes went right down the sand when I tried to walk in this morning.
However, he's calling for people to pay more attention to their animals to avoid situations like this.
I would advise animal owners to pay more attention This sheep is a little sheep, very good breed sheep. The owner of this sheep must have missed the sheep. If he didn't, well, it means that he does not come to the sheep every day. So even if he did, he didn't make an alarm.
Mr. Norval says it's not clear how the sheep ended up on the ledge, but most importantly,
well, she's safe now. Thanks.
Lorna Jones, CBC News.
CBC Sports Night is brought to you by MCTV for all your Premier League, UEFA, and NFL action. To upgrade or install, call MCTV at 228-6288 and get back in the game with MCTV.
Sports time now. We head over to the sports studio and say a very good evening to Damien Best.
Yeah, good evening to you, Shane. Good evening to our viewers and listeners. Well, Deacons are the repeat kings, while Toners women look on course for their title as the Goddard Enterprises Limited Senior League competition continued last night at the Willie Gymnasium. Deacons dispatched Cormier in 3 straight to move to an unassailable 29 points in the standings with 1 game in hand, while Toners lead the women's section with 44 points after a straight sets win over Chargers. League action, Deacons women closest to the screen battling UWI Blackbirds. First set extended, rally going, both defenses holding firm. Finally a blemish, off the block and out, point to Deacons. The outside hitters were just warming up, searching for the openings, which appeared to be very tight. Dig needed a gentle touch. UWI will take that one. In fact, the girls from Cave Hill secured the first 2 sets, 25-23, 25-14, fired into the net on this occasion. The third set, after the Tisha Solis serve, the angle looking good to beat the double block, mission accomplished. Deacons hoping to force a 4th set to stay alive. That's an ace. But UWI would produce the goods in the end. A comfortable 3-set win, taking the third 25-19. On to another fixture, Carlton up against Club United in blue. Left hand, tap into space. Carlton in the hunt for a second place finish. The libero gets a hand to it, but the play falls apart. The club actually started the contest really well. Attack from the right of screen, nullified. The club draw first blood, 25-22. Carlton bounced back to seal the second and the third sets, 25-16, 30-28. A solid rejection to get the 4th started. This play was the highlight of the contest, excellent set. And the elevation to match down the line with pinpoint precision from Tiara Johnson. Johnson then had a go at the backcourt after another gem from Janelle Morris. A bit too much pepper on that one. Carlton take the third, 25-23, and the match 3-1. Toners in the far court now versus Chargers. Toners on course for the league title, up 16-10 in the first at this juncture. Will make that 17 over the blockers with ease. Chargers did have their moments. 1-on-1 at the net. Good stuff from Tonya Joseph. More motivation. But ultimately, Toners were just toying with their opponents at times. The rallies were good. But in the end, Toners cruised to the 25-17, 25-13, 25-19 victory over Chargers. Lone men's fixture featuring Cormier versus Deacons. Sean Simpson with the off-speed delivery. Big hole in the court. Next play, Deacons looking razor sharp on attack. Back set, and not much you can do about that. The men in green on a roll. This time the dink from almost mid-court. Magic. Simpson switching to option number 2. Power applied. Massive kill. Not a man move. Point to Cormier. However, Deacons would ease to victory in 3 straight. The League Kings, 25-14, 25-19, 25-20. Winners over Cormier. Yeah, well, national senior athletes won a total of 61 medals as track and field action was completed yesterday at the Huntsman World Senior Games in Utah, the USA. The Bajans won 22 gold, 26 silver, and 13 bronze. On the final day, Barbados collected 5 gold medals. Paulette Brooms won the women's 70 to 74 400 meters. In the men's 55 to 59 section, 5K power walk, Patrick Bourne claimed the top spot. Wendy Barrow-Smith was the winner of the women's 60 to 64 triple jump, while Angela Jackson won the 55 to 59 5K power walk. Finally, John Brooks won gold in the men's 50 to 54 400 meters, and the team is scheduled to return home on Sunday. Well, the Barbados senior women's netball team departed the island this morning, headed to the America's Netball World Cup qualifier in Jamaica. The squad includes LaTonya Blackman, Shawnette Azor-Bruce, Samantha Brown, Demisha Croney, Brianna Holder, Teresa Howell, Tonisha Rockyaw, Faye Seeley, Sabrina Smith, Akina Stout, Tamara Trotman, and Shonika Wharton. The reserves are Dana Babb, Trishan Dean, and Jada Smith. Head coach Margaret Cuttin says the team will be aiming to turn a new leaf after the disappointment at the 2022 Commonwealth Games in Birmingham, England.
So far, I'm pleased with the preparation of the team. The girls have been working really hard. We focus a lot on our fitness level. When we returned from the Commonwealth Games, fitness was one of our problems with the team. The girls weren't able to maintain their possession of the ball or transforming from attack onto defense. So we work on that and we have improved tremendously. We're going to take each game one by one, and we are not going to underestimate any team in this competition.
The Bajan Gems are currently ranked 3rd in the Caribbean and 14th in the world. And President of the Barbados Netball Association, Nisha Cragwell, believes the squad is strong enough to qualify for the Netball World Cup in South Africa next year.
Our team is in high spirits, and I trust that they will represent Barbados well. Our team will be captained by LaTonya Blackman and Shawnette Azor-Bruce, our most capped players. They're very experienced, and we anticipate that they will lead our team well. Have a good mixture of youth. We welcome back Demisha Croney and Teresa Howell to the team, and we do have a new player in Tamara Adams making the team for the very first time. So we are extremely pleased with the work that has been put in, and we do anticipate that Barbados will be heading over to Netball World Cup next year in Cape Town, South Africa.
Well, the Gems will play 8 matches, with the first scheduled for Sunday against Cayman Islands and the final fixture set for October 22nd against Antigua and Barbuda.
Commonwealth finance ministers, including Prime Minister Mia Amor-Motley, met today on the margins of the World Bank and the IMF meetings in Washington, D.C. for the Commonwealth Finance Ministers Meeting 2022. They addressed emerging economic issues facing the global economy and Commonwealth countries, the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic and ongoing geopolitical tensions and their impact on global output and supply chains have led to global inflationary pressures for many Commonwealth members. Ministers had frank discussions and considered the recommended measures that need to be taken. They also called for a holistic review of the fiscal rules since they are no longer relevant and do not reflect the extraordinary and peculiar economic conditions of today. Meanwhile, on the sidelines of the IMF World Bank meetings, Prime Minister Motley is expected to deliver the 6th annual Babacar NDIA lecture. It provides the opportunity to reflect on the most important development challenges facing Africa and the developing world. This year's event, the first after 2 years of virtual lectures, will be held under the theme, The Developing World in a Turbulent Global Financial Architecture. Chief Economist and Director of Research at the Afrex Bank, Dr. Hippolyte Fofak, believes Prime Minister Motley is the right person and articulate and elaborate on the theme. He says she is one of the most powerful intellectual voices of reason in the world today. IMF is confident its first ever long-term affordable financing instrument, the Resilience and Sustainability Trust, will support the transformation of the economies of recipient states. Barbados is among the first 3 countries taking advantage of the trust. The program supports countries in building resilience to structural challenges in a bid to maintain longer-term economic and financial stability. Managing Director Kristalina Gorgieva says pledges of $40 billion have been made.
We have staff-level agreements for the first 3 countries crossing the finish line, Barbados, Costa Rica, and Rwanda. And for countries suffering from the food crisis, we have expeditiously opened up a window in emergency financing, the food shock window, to provide rapid financing to urgent needs. And let me say finally a word on debt. We are pressing for a more effective debt resolution mechanism. We want the common framework to become more predictable, with guidelines, and able to bring equality of treatment for all creditors, public and private.
Meanwhile, the plight of small island developing states was amplified before the IMF by Eastern Caribbean Central Bank Governor Timothy Antone. He says the region remains on the front line of the climate crisis. Dr. Antone highlighted an IMF study in 2018 that found the frequency of natural disasters and weather events has increased 7-fold.
So for the Caribbean, pursuing resilience has to be a relentless, lifelong pursuit, given our vulnerability. And so you might ask, well, what is resilience? The way we think about resilience in the Caribbean is the capacity to withstand and absorb shocks, recover, and bounce forward. Not back, forward. Because given the structural issues in the region, it's not enough to simply get back to where we were. We have to constantly think about how we build resilience to reduce our vulnerability.
CBC Sports Night is brought to you by MCTV. For all your Premier League, UEFA, and NFL action. To upgrade or install, call MCTV at 228-6288 and get back in the game with MCTV.
All right, let's head back on over to the sports studio for the second half in sports of Damien.
Yeah, thanks so much, Shane. Now to this story. Kim Seeley-Lewis recently made giant leaps in the area of cricket umpiring when she finished in the top 5 of the West Indies Cricket Umpire Association's oral and practical exams. Her achievement is paving the way for women in Barbados and the region. CBC's Anne-Marie Burt tells us more.
What started out as an invitation by her husband, James Lewis, to accompany him to umpire classes has now resulted some years down the line with Kim Seeley-Lewis being accredited as a Level 3 umpire after acing the West Indies Cricket Umpire Association's oral and practical exams. Seeley-Lewis, who's the CBC's financial controller, not only was the highest-ranked female on the course with a 96% grade, but also was a top-performing Barbadian and has been ranked 5th overall in the region. She admits it took a lot of balancing her professional work and studying to attain the highest certification of umpiring in the region. She sees it as much more than a personal victory.
I also wanted Barbados to have that mark on the map, that stamp on the map that shows that we as Barbadian women, we can achieve. To be 5th overall in the region is an achievement. To be the number 1 lady in that sat the exam is also a greater achievement. And to have Barbadian women, all 3 of us, being in the top percentile with respect to the overall region is a greater achievement for Barbados. And I just hope that Barbadians, male and females, celebrate in this achievement for the Barbados Cricket Umpires Association.
As mentioned, her husband James has been the driving force behind her getting involved in the sport from the officiating level. And she says he's the most supportive partner one can ask for.
He has been there with me through all my trials and tribulations. And he knows how challenging being in a male field can be. As a cricketer, I have watched my husband play cricket, and I know the things that cricketers do. I know how challenging they make it for females also. So for him now, the table turn. Is your wife out there now in the middle of that arena standing up in a male-dominated field? And he makes sure every Saturday that everything is put aside.
Celie Lewis has much gratitude to the Barbados Umpires Association.
I hope that the region sees the success of the Barbadian training program. We have turned out a lot of umpires over the years, and we have had persons, candidates, that were actually in the top percentile each year. I just want the association to understand and to know that we, as umpires and members of the association, we are grateful and we are very appreciative for the investment that they have placed in each and every one of us. And I just want to say thank you.
To date, her biggest assignment was umpiring a regional friendly match at Weymouth between the Trinidad and Barbados women's national teams, and she officiates in the BCA's Division 2 competitions. Having completed this Level 3 accreditation, Celie Lewis now waits to see if she'll be appointed to the regional umpires panel and says she's ready to seize any opportunity that she may be afforded. Anne-Marie Burke, CBC Sports.
Good air. That's our news. Good night and be good. Thanks for visiting us. To get more stories like this one, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.